Thank you, gents. Beautiful segment, as always. That's what we expect of you guys as well. Now, Eragon was very intelligent there alongside Trymbi. Let's see if we can be smart to identify.
That's not going to happen.
No, well, I didn't even tell you what we're identifying first. Don't worry. No problem, guys. Not going to be that intelligent. They talked about the bot lane on the desk, and by sure as hell, I think us leading up to this matchup as well, we're like, that might be a problem for SK if Team Heretics are able to stabilize and pop off that bot lane.
Yeah, I think a huge amount of it, though, is that I want to see Flakked being a little bit more selfish when it comes to bot lane. I want to see him going, hey, look, these are the resources I need. If I need to reset, not going for something like a dragon, just saying, hey, look, this is how I want to play my game. And perhaps Team Heretics can kind of take things a little bit slower and see if they can come out here well against SK.
I mean, again, it's elimination time. We're in the losers bracket. The first matchup starts. We're still BO3s, by the way, guys. So less chance to see that draft diversity go through. But remember that the winner of this matchup goes up against Fnatic, who are sitting there and waiting. At least believe them to go up against Fnatic. We'll confirm that later on. I think more importantly, Dagda, the fact that we're losing Team Heretics or SK is kind of crazy. Like, Team Heretics, the remade roster in the top side was such a big deal in the offseason. SK's start in Winter, as Trouble was talking about in the interview before, was such a great first 3 weeks. And then it's gone a little bit downhill with their recent matchup against Vitality.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. For Heretics, it was a little bit of a rocky road to get here. They didn't have the best of starts. I mean, they literally, day one, they ended up going up against Mad Lions Koi and kind of got, well, their behinds handed to them. So
True.
I think there was a little bit more of, hey, we need to start to reset, figure out how we want to approach the game. I think there's still a little bit of that for Heretics. Whereas you look at SK, they came in swinging. SK looked absolutely fantastic. And as Trouble alluded to on that interview, was saying, look, you kind of struggling now towards the end of the split, and it does remind us of Winter last year, where SK came in, they finished third, but then couldn't actually close it in playoffs. They got to fourth, not a bad spot to be, but certainly higher expectations here for SK coming into this playoff.
Absolutely, especially when we've been excited about the mid jungle on top of that as well. We've been excited about Irrelevant's champion pool. Note on the desk, they were talking a lot about the fact that a Irrelevant team player doesn't have the same spark to it. Already Jack's taken off, Rumble taken off the board, taking away some of these individual carries that are relevant. Could pop out. Remember, he has things like the Akali as well that's also flexed up to the top side as SK ban away the Seraphine from Flakked just in case we go down towards what a supported bot lane.
Yeah, I do feel like you can still go back towards the K'Sante here for Relevant and still be relatively okay. The Renata ban here says to me that they're worried about them taking, say, the Kalista on this first rotation here for Exakick in the spot lane, which they will, looks like they will do, but they don't want the Renata to go with it, or at least put themselves in a position where they have to take the Renata away here. So going to take that K'Sante that we just talked about for Relevant off, and then the Azir as well immediately for Perkz in that mid lane. So curious though if we get to see some of that like flexibility in towards the mid lane or even in some of the bot lane for Heretics, but at the moment this looks fairly bog standard. Maokai going to be taken up here, and then I imagine they'll take a Nautilus or some sort of aggressive support here for Dawson that bot lane.
Okay, so assuming that the Maokai will just stick in the jungle. Remember, we've had a couple of flexes of that before, but it's something that here in the LEC, as you say, it's been paired with the strong junglers. Excuse me, ignore that. Zach early on. Now, we've had this out of Broken Blade smashing through Mirwin as well. Now coming through for Irrelevant, who's played the Ornn, played the Akali so far. And Dagda, I will say as a small tangent, the Twisted Fate banned against Nisqy all of last week. 100% ban rate so far in their playoffs. Let's see what gets let through.
Yeah, I mean, the ADTF would be nice, but I'm a little bit worried about you're in the laning phase, because I think if you get an aggressive jungler, like, well, I was going to say the Zhao or something, you can play for like level 6, swoop back. TF doesn't really have any sort of escape. So instead, they are just saying, look, we are going to guarantee that good matchup for Relevant on that top side. He's going to be fine as the sack. Zhao as well, probably the strongest jungler on the patch at the moment, so not surprised to see that taken. But the question mark now is, what are the answers here for the Heretics bot lane? Because I'm kind of surprised things like the Ashe Varus have just slipped through the entire draft.
Great point,
I think with the Varus taken here, I mean, Kaiser could go towards the Ashe if it's not banned in this next rotation, but to me, it kind of says that the teams aren't fully comfortable taking this, and we haven't seen it. Yeah, just double checking. Yeah, we haven't seen any Ashe support from Kaiser this far, and it's kind of looks better to me on these more easy to set up playmakers like a Nautilus or something along these lines.
I mean, again, that's still open too, but as you said, the draft's been a little bit peculiar, a little bit of a different direction here on 14-2 as we go into the second ban phase. Now, let's talk a little bit more. Hui taken off the board, which can also be flexed into the support position, as we've already seen. Nisqy has also already picked it up by SK.
Yeah, I also think it's just, remember that combo we saw from G2 last week, where Zach dives into the back line, Hui just pops you with the QW, so trying to minimize a lot of that long range damage.
You're saying like Hui's waving from the distance. Hello!
Yeah, I just, not even like in fog of war, it's just like, crash down, immediately you're dead. So definitely don't mind that. I wouldn't be surprised to see, well, the Poppy's gone, which I think is just a good answer to Zin, Zach, and Kalista. But I do think SK Gaming may need to go for something like an Ashe just to try and get control on that bot side. Yes, you can have the Zach play hyper aggressive for dives in towards like dealing into that composition, but I still think you just lose so much bot lane pressure if you're not able to go for, get rid of the Ashe,
Okay, smart move. Now for Kaiser, as we talk about the rest of his champion pool, things like the Bard have popped up a lot this split. You've already mentioned the Nautilus so far in this draft as an option. The Maokai was flexed around, remembering that Jankos hasn't got a jungler yet. But another point that it can also go to the bottom lane and stick on a Kalista. So we can kind of leave that one up in the air until we get Heretics R5 to round out the draft. As this seems like a little bit of a throw in Kaiser's direction. Remember that he's, I believe, the most played Bard so far in the LEC this split, but DOS has also picked up this champion too.
Yeah, he did play it in the week one. Few hiccups when it came to the mechanics, but looked good on the roams and that sort of stuff.
Sylas?
I do think, though, you want to go for something a little bit more aggressive in that bot lane, like the Nautilus, but I actually like the Sylas here. I think it's a decent matchup into the Azir.
Yep.
I think Sylas has been doing well. You see a lot of, like, the Storm Surge into Lichbane build, now that Lichbane is so incredibly strong, so I kind of like this. It does mean you're very dive focused, though, and if you want to try and, like, Maokai, you got the Azir. I'm curious if they have any sort of other pick that they want to try and go, hey, we'll actually just play to try and kite this one out. And there's that Nautilus we were talking about.
Okay, so an engage option that follows through for SK. We can break this down in a second. I'm just curious about how Team Heretics are going to round out this draft. They've got a lot of DPS, a lot of range here so far, Dagda as well. Good engage tools to pop out. We just want to find out, assuming that that is going to be a Maokai jungle. This
would actually be a 6 spot for something like a Braum, or the Janna, I think this is really good. It's just play for kite back and just go, hey, look, as soon as you jump into us, you're going to be several melee champions, which means Braum can get a lot of value out of spreading his concussive stacks around. You can try and play for Peel as well. You got Interrupt there for the Zach as he tries to jump in. So I really like this. I think Heretics have kind of read the board well. You've got a good poke. You've got the opportunity to try and, like, you don't have as much side lane control as you might like as Heretics, because Sylas will eventually win out that. I'm pretty sure Relevant just off of healing should win out in that side lane matchup as well as the game goes on. But at least with the longer range and like good tank line, there's a lot of opportunities for you to press forward to try and get vision in the mid game, which is something that oftentimes teams that struggle with against Zac will end up really coming back to bite them. So I like that Heretics have the setup.
Okay, like good setup. I mean, I think that's something that we didn't talk about in their last series, or at least their last BO3. It was, you and I talking with a bunch of friends last night against BDS. I think we saw one of the drafts where so reliant on their mid lane pressure but couldn't find any. For Team Heretics, I said that. I feel like I said that about SK during their game as well against Vitality, where they got blown up in the water. And it's crazy. These two teams, the names you have on them, the mid laners you have on them. Guys, don't forget, Nisqy versus Perkz. Not only they're domestic champions here as well, but in NA, the lesser region, of course. I'm here in the LEC, I'll say that now. I think that's okay to say. If not, come at me. You guys are so far away, it doesn't matter.
They did just kind of beat us with it.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's a new year. And when you have two Cloud9 champions going up against each other, two inter-regional champions, the fact that one of them's going home here today is sad. And I think we need to reflect on that, because to start off the game, there has been, wait for it, a pause. There you go. Now let's reflect.
I mean, heartbreaking to start us off with the pause, but of course it is LEC, so that's the way it goes. But yeah, curious to see how this one's going to pan out. Nisqy on the Sylas, his second most played in his career, 20 wins and 17 losses. He even had his incredible performance against Weibo Gaming at Worlds on this pick as well. So I'm excited to see what he can try and do in this champion. It does mean we'll probably get a lot of attention from Isma towards that mid lane. And I'm kind of excited to see that, because one of the things I think has been lacking is the strength of that mid jungle that we saw from SK in the first couple of weeks. So having this combo where you got a Zhao and a Sylas you can play hyper aggressive on says to me that they want to try and set up for, hey, let's go for invades, let's try and pressure. And the fact you've got a non-hit Varus in that bot lane as well, I think you've got Kalista push. You can try and play towards mid, get Azir out, and then look for some sort of pressure in towards jungle invades in that.
And I mean, you've got a Bard on your team as well, right? Like you've got yourself, Nautilus coming through. Too excited about the Bard. But you've got a tool that can join up with jungle. I think that's the other big thing as well, because Isma's so aggressive. Would be nice to see what DOS can do outside of the laning phase, but I think on the desk, kind of alluding to it, the bot side is our first focus. We're leaving Isma and Nisqy to whatever happens through mid-jungle, but we're looking at bot because there's a bit of liability there, a bit of issue there. I think when we look at Exakick and DOS being the weak point in certain regards, and we look on the other side for Flakked and Kaiser, it's not like we're like, well, hey, you know, they've been the most consistent either, but if they can win through bot side, we know that that could be a weakness coming through as we get out of the pause to see how that happens. Don't worry, guys. I can see it on my screen. It's time to get into the game. That's right. We've waited too long. We've waited too long for this. It's elimination BO3. There's no time to muck about, especially with the players we have on the riff. Inexperience, yes. Everybody liked that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how these two teams are going to face off. For Heretics, I do want to see a little bit more of a calmer and controlled game. When we look back to the first game of their last series against BDS, it was Adam solo killing Wunder. Flakked ended up taking a poor reset timer, so he falls 20 CS behind, and it felt like there was just no way for them to really get to grips in that game. And I think this is where you kind of have that opportunity to go, right, a huge amount of what SK want to do is snowball through early skirmishing, try and set ourselves up for success, and already looking for the skirmish.
3 versus 2 as well, on to Kaiser. Braum level 1's good, but Flakked's without him for the time being. Ignite down, he's just dead! Over to Nisqy as well, no, first blood given over, but DOS is going to get the flash out of Kaiser. He goes over the wall, it's a shame that DOS got it, but nevertheless, first blood over to SK to open up the laning phase.
Yeah, you could see Nisqy wanted to try and get his hands on it, but didn't want to auto to get the Ignite kill going to DOS, but still, nice kill, flash burnt on both Kaiser and Flakked, plus you get the push on this early wave. I'm very curious to see what Isma's response is here on this pathing, because he's already done his... he's already started on his Raptors.
Yep.
So going to, I imagine, move towards red, and then off of like wave 2, wave 3 in that bot lane, could look for an invade onto the opposite side, but maybe even looking for an immediately good ward here. We'll spot out him as he transitions over, though.
I mean, it's a good ward, considering that both those flashes are down from the invade. So further to your point, Dagda, options now created. Isma going in deep, spotted out by Jankos, and this change in pathing as well to cross this split map, or at least get down towards the lane. Starts with him doing the Raptors, leaving Krugs for the time being as well. He didn't actually finish those, but he is also, too, spotted on a ward from SK.
Yeah, I'm curious if he wants to try and do the Raptors because they're slightly quicker and then cross over to the opposite side, but no, he's just going to wrap around. So they're going to spot out, if you look at the vision control that they have set up, you're going to spot on this board here, if I can get my buttons working, that you're not going to get the move towards Maokai on the bottom side. So it'll be irrelevant who wants to try and crash that wave on top to make sure he's not going to cause issues for himself with Jankos moving up towards that top. So you can see already just very quickly trying to get that wave crashed in so that then Jankos can try and visit, but may not have managed this.
Let's see, level 3 now picked up. Irrelevant, as you said, trying to crash it. Further to Dagda's point, the timing just feels a little bit off here. It's an elastic slingshot that'll have to get him out, but Wunder looking for the flip back. 1Q hits, Ghost lands, slingshot, flash midway. Jankos doesn't get the Bramble smash, but it might not matter, making them kiss for a moment. It's a romantic first date, but Wunder doesn't want to take it to the next step. Irrelevant survives, and that was a flash burnt for a Ghost and a flash from Jankos.
Yeah, both burnt, but still irrelevant. Won't be able to get that wave crash, so doesn't even opportunity for Wunder to reset for bot lane.
It's so dangerous, especially with concussive blows up against all. It's rough. The dive gets messy, though. Isma's gonna die. It's a double over to Flakked, and he survives. Exakick now gets teleported on by Perkz. They can't finish the job, but diving at Braum, as soon as the concussive blows come out, you better run.
And there was no need to try and go for that progressive play. You could have brought Isma down if you wanted to look for that, but I mean, sorry, Isma was here off the back of it, but like, they go in, they get Isma on the play, Isma dies, Flakked goes down as well.
He gets a double!
I don't know, that was messy stuff from SK, and as you say, like, trying to dive the Braum was just an absolute mess. I was caught completely off guard by that one. I didn't expect to try and go for it, yeah.
I thought our levels are down, no problem. But Kaiser buying a lot of time. A double kill over to the Varus. It is a Berserker Greaves already on him too. Dagda, considering how the lane was panning out, considering that first blood and the delayed return to lane, as Flakked and Kaiser push up mid-wave, I mean, Team Heretics have just been given a massive leg back in the game. They've literally got 4 legs now. I don't know how.
But the problem is that now you're going to move all those legs in towards the jungle, steal away this camp from Jankos, make sure you're keeping control on this bot side. And Exakick now has no flash, DOS has no flash, and the wave is crashing into them, so I'd be surprised they try and look for any sort of like return gank onto this bot side where you try and dive DOS and Exakick, but the lack of control now that Exakick and DOS have in this bottom side is going to hurt SK in the long run.
Yeah, giving Jankos a new angle. Isma now trying to trade cross parts of the map as well. Perkz is here, but he has a shifting sands available, but he just put a soldier down. Abscond abduct, he has to flash in the end. He's poked out. Isma can't finish the job. Great timing from Isma. The soldier went down, and Perkz didn't have a way out.
Pings are going down onto Isma, though. They want to see if they can get on towards Jankos, but bot lane has that push, so should be able to find a get out here.
There's
Maybe
4
not.
members coming down. He's just tagged out, and Flakked and Kaiser are like, no way are we touching that. A free rend. This is messy, messy, messy. My apartment's cleaner than this.
Yeah. The fact that you don't have... I thought you had a bit more push on that bot side. Maybe Kaiser and Flakked can get into zone, Exakick and DOS off, but Jankos just sticking around that bit too long. Yes, you got a lot of vision, but you don't get the Raptors and ends up paying his life for the red buff and passing it off to Exakick as well. So now, despite the 2 kills you have in this bot side, if you end up with some of this red buff stacking in onto Flakked, you can chase down that bot lane for Exakick and DOS.
Let's just quickly take stock of the game, because I feel like we are just going round a little bit of a... What would you like to call it? The helicopter down on the bot side, but at the end of the day...
Merry-go-round?
Yeah, merry-go-round. There we go. Dagda obviously been to a theme park before. A 1k gold lead for SK as Jankos now sits down here, trying to protect their assets, because look at where the wave state is, slowly pushing up against Team Heretics. The stand behind me there, DOS doesn't get a good direct line, but flashed on, concussive blows comes in handy again. It's a nice nature's grasp out as well, or rather, should I say, bramble smash. DOS pulls in, but Flakked gets his 3rd kill. We continue to fight over this bottom side, and there's no point taking stock if we're just going to flip it around again. Ulti out, Nisqy almost gets it with the flash. Perkz just walks that one out. I think lucky to be alive.
Yeah, I'm surprised that didn't end up connecting. They're connecting Nisqy, trying to use the fact that he had that push to get an advantage now. Will mean that Isma, with that mid control, can start to move up towards this these void grubs, and there's not really any sort of response here for Jankos, as he's just going to try and go up towards his top side and collect it. But good amount of vision control on this top side in favor of SK, so if he starts to move over towards that red buff, he should be spotted here.
I think I have time to do what I was going to do before. As Jankos, as you said, clearing upwards, Isma taking grubs. Something that you, Mark, and I think it was also Guldborg yesterday talking a little bit about. First grub, remember, 150 EXP, it's a lot. And Isma's already up in the jungle matchup too, as he takes the other 275. Starts off with 3 grubs for SK. That is a big thing. Even though we're getting the seesaw down bot side, it still consistently comes out with a CS lead for Exakick, who still has a kill. A CS lead mid for Nisqy as well. A CS lead in the jungle, a CS lead in top. SK in this early game, despite it going back and forth, still end up being in a rather comfortable position.
Yeah, I will say though, Flakked having 3 kills and a gold lead is not the best
It's an issue on the other side, isn't it? Yeah.
So there is still a good amount here for Heretics, and the thing is, right, like, you definitely want to try and snowball this as SK to play for getting advantages on Nisqy, which they have done, and getting advantages in towards, hey, we want to look for skirmishes, but like, bot lane dive going as poorly as it did, and then SK now also giving over kills onto DOS as well, is not the way that they would have liked this one to go.
Also
so
true.
There are still like avenues here where Jankos, and I think Jankos has been doing the correct thing here, is like, look, Isma's been, apart from that failed dive, farming a great storm. He was a level up as he got towards void grubs, so he can't really contest. So Jankos is like, okay, cool, I'm going to take that time instead to cement that lead on bot side, make sure that they're in a good spot. You can see him working up towards play the Rune King for Flakked, and now even on the invades, you should have a decent time here in responding to this.
If one camp gets taken, Isma will be level 6 as well. That means the engage potential goes up a little bit too. Exakick and DOS have a rend available. Jankos comes in with the steal. Dredge line back on him for the re-engage. We mess it up again as Nisqy with the abscond of Duct. Slows it down. Almost went back in. It's because Dragon's up and available. Welcome back, Dragon Timer, by the way, in our top right. We're just waiting for that first one to be taken as SK run out of the enemy jungle. Yeah,
Nisqy leaving mid to try and make sure that he's able to set up in towards the spot side jungle. So you have the numbers advantage there, but Perkz not moving means that Heretics will just give up their blue buff. And I think, again, it's kind of just Heretics saying, look, we don't want to overextend on any of these plays, give an opportunity for SK to continue snowballing these leads. So we're just going to take it slow, make sure that we're just not falling far behind, and then play for this kite back composition that we've set up for ourselves.
Listen to your Dagda. He says, take it slow. That's what Team Heretics want to do. On the bottom side, SK keep trying to speed the game up. I like that point because it kind of situates where SK are in the game, where they want more pace. They've got the Sylas, they're skirmishing tools galore. Kalista Sylas, by the way, at 1 item, at 2 items, early game fights. Holy moly. If they're at gold or ahead, it is abrasive, abusive, unloving, uncaring, divisive. Think of another word, Dagda. Come on, the dictionary's out as we get a dragon down in the meantime.
I was just enjoying you going through the whole thesaurus there, you know, making sure you had all your words up and
that my brain somehow knows, but it doesn't get any further than that. Oh, it's a gold grab. It gets us off this topic and straight to a new one. Perkz in. Ulti back. Okay. All right. Well, there's the kittens out as well. Just showing that they can do it. You know, you want to do it again? Well,
Yeah,
All right.
I
Okay.
mean, kind of missing now your timer because it's like, well, Flash is going to be back up for Nisqy. Won't be able to TP back immediately, but you can probably have people hold on towards this. I could understand if this was like right before, say, the next Void Grove spawn or something, but like you still have a little bit of time before that, so you should be able to get back here. And
DOS has flash. DOS has flash. There's a Zac coming up. I mean, Jankos just invaded after they both missed their ultimates. Team Heretics flash with a depth charge. Here comes the dredge line. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. Bot together's good. Irrelevant somehow taken all the way to Asgard. He gets out with a slither of health. Good potion timing. But Jankos died for a play. I don't feel like he should have absconded ducked. A real Azir ult comes out. Nisqy shows how it's done. That's 3 spoons full already. You get another one. And the drink keeps on stacking up. Perkz to half HP. And Dagda, do you want to talk about what Jankos was doing or what?
I mean, Jankos just got unfortunate. He was like, look, we got to try and make the most out of the fact that Nisqy reset, doesn't have his TP. Let's try and go for an invade and use the fact he's mid push. But Perkz didn't shove in mid, wasn't moving across to help him, so he just gets completely caught out. And now again, Perkz taking the damage.
Chain Lash, wait for the Kingslayer. I'm not sure if it came through yet, but Petricite Burst keeps coming through. 5 points on Q. Dagda just pointed to that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of your bog standard when you're in these ranged matchups, the Q to help you push and also be able to poke down in response. But Nisqy trying to see if he can stop the backs. DOS is here, but may not want to be here, to be perfectly honest, as resets are coming through for Kaiser and Flakked, but they're a bit far off. So just going to make sure they can keep Perkz at bay, so now they can move in towards their tower.
Do you remember when I had that moment where I'm like, man, what if DOS starts linking up with Isma Nisqy in this aggressive comp? I think so far we've seen that. Topside play, mid as well, roaming around, constantly skirting around vision. DOS so far has had a very ingenious game number 1. I think kind of caught Team Heretics off guard to a degree as well. Speaking of which, 2k gold lead, by the way, for SK in this early game. As we gear up for the Dragon, not now, 2 minutes 30 to go. Team Heretics positioning aggressively like it was up.
Yeah, I think there's a massive advantage here for SK, just in the fact that Nisqy's been having a fantastic time in mid. He's got the push, got 2 plates.
Yep.
Now you're going to have all 6 Void Grubs going to SK, plus the fact when you think forward to Rift Tower that's going to spawn in 2 minutes time, you can just use that mid and essentially just crack up a mid lane turret. So if Exakick and DOS can shove a bottom plate for a mid, then you can get that. You then set up Exakick and DOS in the mid lane and just shove in again, because Flakked and Kaiser can't really contest you in the mid push, and then you can operate from mid into bot with Nisqy having these advantages and look for dives on Perkz solo under tower. So SK have a very clear way of how they want to try and play this game.
Sure.
I think a huge amount of this is going to be on Jankos to try and slow down that pace and make sure that there's not an opportunity for SK to go for things like Rift Herald or like find picks beforehand.
I mean, where is Jankos when you need him right now? Opposite side of the map, depth charge there. Flakked gets over the wall, but Chains of Corruption going to fly through as well. Abscond of Duck, look on the right side, ignore Kaiser, because I just saw Nisqy destroy Flakked in one smooth move. SK won't let that pace slow down. Dagda, they're going to keep on going.
I mean, Nisqy did say in the Euphoria he would never lose to Heretics because he thought some of the players were washed. And Nisqy's kind of showing up big here for SK. Getting control on that bot side. Great timing on waiting for that ultimate as well from the Nautilus to hit, because he had the Chains of Corruption, but was like, cool, I can just follow with my own Abscond Abduct, then make sure that Flakked isn't able to move, and there was literally nothing he could do there.
I think there's a reason Nisqy has played this, you know, he's second most played champion of all of his career. I don't care about the win-loss. All I care about is the fact that Nisqy, on a champion that can carry, on a champion he's comfortable with, is showing up big here when he's going up against Perkz. For Team Heretics, now down 3k gold, but that Dragon, we mentioned before, is 45 seconds from up. DOS is here, ready to set up and engage in a pick before we get towards it. But first, let's watch this good engage.
Yeah, I mean, overextension here for Vision by Kaiser, with especially the push in mid, not knowing where Nisqy had gone to, and as he said, you wait for the Chains of Corruption, and after you use that Abscond to close the distance, and you're in a great spot. So really nice play here. I'm curious to see though, if I'm SK, I don't play for Dragon. I actually play for the Rift Herald on this one. I want to go, hey, look, Dragon's cool, but it's one Cloud Dragon that could go across the Heretics. Cracking mid lane tower is significantly stronger for us, so I'm not surprised to see them rotate Exakick and DOS towards mid so they can lean towards that, but they don't have the pressure on bot side because Flakked slowed stack that wave, so they need to try and get this control first before they can move up to it. But with Isma on bot side, maybe they are just looking to go Dragon.
I mean, you take away a concussive blow, or rather that Glacial Fissure laid down. Kaiser not going to die, but Isma goes in with the Titanic, but he's going to get stunned up. Chains of Corruption, however, with his ult in return, it buys time. Team Heretics using a bit themselves, that Flakked ulti. maybe it makes a difference to start up this Dragon, considering how strong SK actually are.
Isma is low, though. Don't think Heretics want to try and commit to this. I wasn't sure with the health that you saw in Isma and also both Isma's ult and Nisqy's ult being down.
Yeah.
Maybe you consider going for something, but instead they just decide to back away. It does mean, though, with Exakick now returning to mid, oh, actually, they don't go for the Dragon, but I think you'll get a reset in towards going for one of these objectives again. But if I'm Jankos, I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and like play off the fact, because you can know that SK, well, they haven't done it yet, right? Because you haven't got that sound that went off. So maybe you look with Perkz to go up towards Irrelevant. If you can get a pick there, maybe you can look for the Rift Herald as well off the back of it. Although Irrelevant's teleport is just about to be up, so maybe they feel like they're just going to wait for something on his bottom side. But I think you should just cross map. Maybe it's the pick before, but they need to do something.
Dagda, your brain. If I was there, I'd love it, you know. You're telling me 5 moves ahead of the play right now. I'm trying to keep up at this point. I think the one thing I can take away is the fact that the setup's been so important for Team Heretics to delay things out. But again, getting pushed all across map, the lane pressure from SK enables them, after shoving out, to once again get another objective. 6 grubs, 2 dragons, now moving up as a 3-man unit to potentially get for this top side. And Jankos, I mean, he's still down. He's still down about half a level too. I don't know why Dragon does that. It turns into like a VHS. You know, it's like
just
wearing
a rave on the Rift.
It's wearing like a dotted shirt on camera as well. Repeats for about a century.
But this is the thing for Heretics. We're kind of seeing the repeat problems come up for them. They haven't really gone for any sort of cross map. They're not really answering for any of the pressure SK are putting down. Yes, they have had like Jankos playing well around bot side, right, to get that control, but it's kind of stagnated now.
Nisqy,
and now Nisqy
in a 1v2, but Sylas, wow, that was Chains of Corruption damage. Just an R.
But with 2 people now on bot side for Flakked and Kaiser, Heretics are just going to go, right, we can try and get control established on bot side, but I like this. They know Isma's on top side, so watch Exakick and DOS. They're just moving down here to cover a potential dive. DOS going to spot out Jankos now.
Yep.
So Nisqy has already cleared out the wave, so maybe you can try and look for it off follow-up wave, but I think Nisqy should just back away from this. You get mid lane tower off of the Rift Herald play, and yes, you'll lose bot tower, but I think you can very quickly answer for it elsewhere.
He's hijacked 3/4 off the cooldown, and look at it, because he's at level 11, or plus I should say, he almost has it up and available. 5 seconds, you can see a little bit of timer there, so Team Heretics have to be careful. It's a nature's grasp. It's Flakked's ulti probably up soon and available as well from that cooldown. Nisqy trying to threaten as well. Flakked takes a turret shot. Nisqy has flash too. And when you look at him, you look at a player like Nisqy on one of his favorites, Sylas. That's why the cameraman stuck down there. He's like, maybe this guy's going to try and 1v3? Because you could see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, at that stage, he wasn't even 1v3. You can see DOS was hovering in the wings after moving down off of that mid wave. You got you got Isma, who's moving down to cover as well. Exakick moved back to mid, so that's kind of Heretics trying to scramble to make a play after Rift Herald was taken, and you can see how long they committed to that bottom side, but they're just not in a great spot. Now you've got Rift Herald picked up for Isma. I wouldn't be surprised to see that plonk down in mid lane as Exakick comes back out of base. You got the opportunity then, if you overcommit as Heretics towards mid, to go, right, well, Nisqy, you take bot side as well. This game is just becoming very difficult for Heretics to try and play out.
Again, running out of options. I know we talked about waiting, buying time, but SK continue pushing the game ahead. 3,000 only at 18 minutes, yeah, but look at what else is on the board. As Dragon spawns in 2 minutes 30, SK don't have a reason to walk down here. Until now, they see the rest of Team Heretics. Nisqy's like, okay, I'll take it. Ulti's out, but avoided with a quick little armor guard, but running through. There's a Perkz kill. And Team Heretics find themselves someone out in rotation, and the game suddenly gets a little bit easier.
Yeah, well, you're still going to have SK, which are going for the trade, which is, hey, we will take this mid lane tower, which is, I think, what they should have gone for initially. I think Nisqy could have just sacked bot lane tower, because you can hop in again, even go for a potential tier 2 if you really wanted to, guarantee that charge, but you're also getting Irrelevant, who got the top tower as well, so you always trade 2 for 1. So I think a bit of a mistake there from SK on trying to defend the bot tower, rather than in just looking to trade quicker on the map and get your tempo advantage that way.
I mean, great point, especially when, you know, someone like Nisqy as well hurts him, giving a kill over to Perkz. This late game Azir, this carry that is going to damage out with Flakked on the on-hit Varus as well. You get a step in the right direction. You still slow the pace, and I know you're talking about the trade there, but still when we're looking at a composition that we talked about scaling in, as this game goes on, things get easier. Gold matters less and less. We're definitely not at that point right now, as we are hitting 2 items on pretty much everyone, but we are slowly getting there. That's the point. As before, I will say, in the early game, it was like a 1.4k gold lead between Nisqy and Perkz. Now there's only about 200, 300 gold between them, which is a vast improvement.
Yeah, I think though this is where you have ways for SK to try and play out the game, but if you start to go towards team fights, you're still waiting on like another item and a half, I'd say, for a lot of the members on Heretics before you're massively in control of this game.
Very true.
So that's why I think at the moment, I like the turret down in mid for Perkz. Essentially what they're trying to do is delay the shove on mid to then lean into the bot side. You have 2 dragons already for SK, and if you end up taking bot lane tower as well, you scatter a ton of vision on this bottom side jungle of Heretics. It makes it really tough for them to try and fight against like things like a Zach who can pop in from anywhere, and Nisqy can come from multiple different sides, and you can play through a very strong Sylas on these side lanes. But they're doing a good job of holding it. I think you need to be careful face checking on this one, but that's why they got Wunder here as well, just to try and get that numbers advantage. TP from Perkz onto the bot side to try and answer the push from Nisqy. And again, it's just slowing down until Dragon in 15 seconds.
I'm sure DOS wants that dredge line either. Quick note, Ocean Dragon's huge, especially for a team fighting comp 2, even just the individual stats. So we digress. SK move into the river, and Team Heretics reposition. They're going to be on a ward. As Irrelevant walks in as well, but you watch Nisqy on the back end, Dagda.
Heretics want front to back, but look at Irrelevant. Moving around on the side, Nisqy in the flank as well. This is such a good setup for SK.
Control ward doesn't spot out, but at least the lens does. Wunder now zoning off that Zach. Nisqy takes himself a nature's grasp, and the angle is massive. 1 cent out from Wunder, Jankos, but it won't matter. Depth charge in the back line, as Irrelevant has just been ulted into everyone! Why did Wunder do that? As they bounce up, maybe it turns around. Somehow it turns around. Okay, Wunder, I'm so sorry. It worked out perfectly.
They managed to get access to SK and dismantle them. So much was used to try and gain access to Flakked, to gain access to Perkz, but it doesn't work out in the end, as they just end up overextending. You can see here, Nisqy gets a good ultimate across the backline here, and the depth charge on towards Flakked, and Flakked does get caught. But now watch, Wunder keeping Irrelevant locked up so they can't really get onto Flakked as he's in CC, so Flakked gets to flash away. But you've left now Exakick completely separated. He's not able to get into the fight. Great ultimate from Perkz in this close quarter fight to get Nisqy into a position he doesn't want to be in. You can see there, all of their resources used to try and get access to this Varus, and they just couldn't get him off.
That was just a crazy fight. Tracking that, impossible. I thought they made a great mistake, Dagda. I thought Irrelevant being in the middle of all the members, getting a 3-man ulti, just set it up perfectly for SK. But Perkz on the wing. 2 items, great ulti himself. Now a bounty of 450 gold. Team Heretics with 1 fight and a dragon on top of that. And suddenly they're in a gold lead, as we're talking about. For SK, time is not on their side. And already things have started to become more difficult just after watching 1 ace.
Yeah, I mean, it was just great positioning from Heretics to fight back into that corridor so that then they've less opportunities for SK to gain access or come in from multiple angles. And that's where Heretics want to try and find their fight. So for SK, though, I think they still have a decent opportunity to try and get control. So you can see now they pushed out bot, they pushed out top. As long as they can keep mid control, they're actually going to be in an okay spot to keep pressure going with Nisqy on a side lane. But it is going to get more and more difficult, especially as we start to move forward. And if you can't find the vision that you need or the angles of attack that you need to come in from multiple angles as you set up for a team fight, that's going to favor Heretics. So for SK, I think it's take your time and fight before you hit river rather than after you hit river.
It's going to get harder, as we know. No drag in the meantime. Baron sits there standing, which now has about 8 arms, I believe. Somehow, red buff given over. Team Heretics now move mid. You can see Irrelevant's trying to find an angle over the wall. I mean, this could be huge. Team Heretics are walking towards this. And as they move in the choke, all it takes is Irrelevant to find Flakked and Perkz, but with a cute little kitten, they know he's there. Out he goes, and the flank suddenly dismissed.
Yeah, good read from Heretics, because that could have been devastating if you end up with Zach in your backline, and you've got, again, the opportunity for people to come in from mid lane, coming in from river as well to try and get on towards Perkz or towards Flakked. So for Heretics, just continue to play this slow, keep your waves pushed out, and just try to avoid any opportunity where SK can get vision control in your jungle, and they can deny you getting access to river for the upcoming dragon fight in 2.5 minutes or anything along these lines.
To another one as well from setting out vision. I want to say that SK through this game, their vision control's been pretty superb. Really good tracking so far of Jankos, but more than that, the movements from some of the solo laners. this time around, Team Heretics will be able to clear out some of the aggressive vision that was put down by SK, make their vision line known, and get towards the Baron again. There's a cheeky control ward right in front of the Baron right now by SK, and that's keeping them in the know. The Baron's not being started, but you can say vice versa for Team Heretics holding their own control. So no sneaky Baron, no jump towards it right now. Instead, it feels like we might just wait until the Dragon in a minute 50 again to find out if SK can find some of these more ingenious angles we talked about before.
Yeah, it's tough for SK at the moment because I don't think they've set up their waves as well as they could. When you look towards mid, reset there from Exakick, but it was also as Nisqy wasn't able to get full control on bot side because they didn't have mid pressure. They're trying to consistently go for these sort of plays where it's like, okay, let's see if we can quickly collapse onto mid lane and catch someone out, which can work, but I think you need to get like bot lane pushed out fully first, try and establish vision or push Heretics vision back, because at the moment it's too easy for Wunder to just sit here as they like split 1-4 because you don't have pressure anywhere on the map that draws Heretics out of position.
I will say also, if you're able to get yourself into a fight and jump on Wunder, you know, the Zac at this point of the game, Wunder is invulnerable. Oh, hello. Nisqy caught on camera. It is a Sonya's hourglass, as he says cheese, but still, that's a cooldown we have to track now. We're not going to see that on the HUD for the time being, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm sure you all know the Zonya's cooldown at home. I can't think about it on the top of my head. What is it, 120?
I want to say it's 90 seconds.
Okay.
I could be wrong. But either way, you won't have it for Dragon, which is the major one. So I think that's where, especially as you're looking to try and dive in onto the backline, it's going to become a bit more of an issue. Push is mid, but again, Nisqy starting to roam. He will be caught on vision as he starts to roam towards mid. There was an opportunity, I think, with TP up for him to completely push out this bot side. Maybe it's set up as a slow push. Maybe I'm reading that wrong. Which would put pressure onto the tier 2, right as you start to look towards the pressure on towards Baron. And it looks like SK have kind of given up vision control on their bottom side and said, look, Heretics have already established too much here. We're going to try and look for the trade of Dragon for a potential Baron and draw Heretics into these positions where we have flank angles.
But again, their front line built up so much that for Irrelevant to get back there, Flakked has to step up massively. Perkz has to be out of position. Maybe now the answer's abscond, abduct, ulti for ulti. They get flung back and he will slide and glide. Oh, Perkz. He must have been watching Michael Jackson videos. The moonwalk backwards gets him to safety. And that is a big ulti and a flash from one of their main carries of SK.
Still though, TP will be able to come through here for Nisqy, so I don't know if you're going to be able to get particularly much out of it. So you're basically ult for ult in the grand scheme of things. Flash obviously is a nice one, but I still think for SK, you can see they're not dissuaded here. They know they have better vision here as Perkz starts to set up for the Dragon. He will take it.
Yep.
Now, where are the flank opportunities?
Got enough help. They're trying to do the Baron, lure them in. Dredge line unstoppable is Wunder. He took no damage. Cassante, things to start us off. Exakick is still hitting this way with Irrelevant, but remember that Isma's walked away. SK are so separated here. Dagda, Nisqy's got a stolen ulti, but already starts out a little bit crazy. He's at 10k. The Baron now hits.
Irrelevant needs to be in a position where he can go on towards the backline, but he's not going to be able to.
Not
Ult
at all.
comes across.
Slingshot in. Nature's Grasp is out. It's by the double. Irrelevant jumps in, but Perkz in with a depth charge. It's a bouncing flubber, but it might not matter. SK is still getting hit away as Flakked and Perkz rejuvenate, rebirth, and give us hope that Team Heretics are not going to be eliminated today. Jumping in once more. It's Perkz' day. Long have we waited. This is here. More than activated.
Perkz is standing on the shoulders of Wunder in these fights, though again, key target selection from the Cassante. Tears Exakick out of the fight, tears the hope from SK, and might just sneak the Baron away right underneath the nose of Nisqy as well.
It ain't sneaking if he can see it going down in his face. Nisqy stealing a chain's corruption, but Wunder knocking him back. Perkz over the wall. Will send his soldiers out, and Team Heretics, the early game might not have been strong, but they find a way.
But this is a really good, well, terrible decision-making from SK, I'm not going to lie.
There you go.
But Jankos with the counter ultimate, but I want to keep your eyes on Wunder as he immediately yoinks Exakick over the back of this wall here as they set up to go on towards Perkz. So as Exakick is taken out of the fight, Perkz gets the time to reset, get the kill onto Irrelevant, and Wunder's just solo killing Exakick in the backline. So yes, you have Nisqy who can do some damage, but he's forced back out of the fight because of Perkz having the opportunity to go golden, and it makes it so difficult then for SK to play it.
Oh boy. Okay. I don't know what Jankos is saying, but man.
I need voice comms.
Yeah, I think we do.
Uh-oh.
Can't be good. SK on the run as we come back from a replay. Dagda, that's the second fight now where you see, wow, the Zac bringing everyone together. What are SK doing for damage? They are starting to lack it at this point. I think we even saw it in the last fight as well. The front line of Team Heretics able to absorb so much. And it just looks so difficult. And we know now where this comp is going. We know exactly what Team Heretics is going to do. This is so hard to win out as Slingshot comes out and over the wall, bumped back. Perkz says no. No. Irrelevant, you're just going to stay there and die. Doss is going to get tagged down now as well as Wunder comes in from the side. I remember this movie. As another kill to boil through. Doss, no, gets out in the end, but 5 versus 4 with Baron minions bot side. I mean, Team Heretics are just going to look to end, it feels like.
And this is such an incredible showing from Team Heretics. Control from Jankos in the early stages, played the slow game, punished the mistakes from SK, and SK, if Heretics get in here, are 1 game away from elimination.
It's crazy that SK at the start of such a season, now getting doored through the front. Perkz with another kill. Wunder's looking for more meat, and Nisqy tries to flank, but Flakked makes short work of that. Perkz running in once again, even without the ulti. It's a comeback in game number 1, but that's all you need for Team Heretic fans to be excited for game 2.
Heretics looking good in this one. The fact that you're able to get control of the bot side, major botch on the dive from SK, giving some early advantages there.
True.
And they can try and run this one through, but we're going to toss it over to a quick break, and then we're back with the analyst desk to break that one down.
Red Bull gives you wings.